is better, vintage or modern? Who makes cooler hi-fi equipment, Americans or Japanese? Let's try to find the answers to these questions in our video. The Onkyo Integra M508, my peer, is practically from the mid-80s. It has literally come to us from there. Weighs more than 20 kilograms, quite powerful, very cool meters with wooden sides. A purebred Japanese. See, I even put a step-down transformer here to turn it on and let you listen to it. The Gringo is up against the Samurai. This is the Parasound A21, practically a modern device. Why practically? Because there is already a newer model, the A21 Plus, which I have also successfully tested, just like this device. I know it very well. The new device is better in almost every parameter compared to this Parasound, which makes it even more interesting to compare the old Japanese device with the relatively new American one. Because if, in my opinion, it's a simple logical chain, this guy will be better than this Hero, then 1 or 2.0 is no longer in favor of vintage. And when you watch this video to the end, we will have a small giveaway. It will be a vinyl record, so leave your comments, like the video, and in a couple of weeks we will give away a wonderful vinyl record. Let's play it and I will tell you about its features. As you can see, this is what we call a step-down transformer. Do you know how many times these Japanese devices were plugged into our 220 V sockets and there were certain mismatches that led to equipment damage? But we are prepared. We have a pretty serious NF1500 here. NF1500. First, we turn it on. The button feels metallic. Overall, it is made very well. Oh, what an amazing backlight. It's kind of reddish. It switched to green. Everything looks very, very beautiful and expensive. And it feels more than cool to the touch as well. The Onkyo weighs 25 kilograms, has 450 watts at 4 ohms, and 260 watts at 8 ohms. In principle, the specifications are more than respectable, especially for that time. In the mid-80s, it cost $1,500, which was quite a high price. In essence, this device was meant for the elite. It has dual mono on board. These are two C-shaped shielded power transformers. We will get to them shortly. We will definitely open it up and see how the Japanese have arranged everything. I look at it and understand why vintage is so popular, because in the past, attention was paid to every detail. Metal, wood, look at this plaque. At this nameplate, it feels almost like it's made of gold. Very high quality. Integra M508. By the way, these knobs are an amazing feature because essentially it can be used without preamplifiers. It has a variable input and a fixed input. Here you can connect a variable and adjust the volume, set it up, and there you go. You don't even need a preampy. Again, switching. Here we have speaker 1, speaker 2, the direct button, and of course the power. Look at it. It's 99.9% certain that this is metal, and with such an amazing aggressive red backlight. And here, by the way, the backlighting also looks very expensive. That is, there are no screen glares or anything like that. The highest quality green lighting that floods this entire screen with arrows, and the needles themselves are also very cool. To be honest, I'm not a fan of all these needles. I don't understand why people are so excited about Macintosh because, again, their sound is good, high quality, but it's not worth the money. But these dials, I really like them. You look at them and you understand, yes, very cool. Everything looks expensive, no doubt about it. I won't hide my love for this brand because I've been familiar with it for about 15 years, and you know that I've had both the 21 and 23 models at home. Of course, in terms of price and quality, it's a must-have. You buy it and you know for sure that every ruble will be well spent. It looks extremely brutal and stylish. The most interesting part is at the back. I'll show you. There are also settings there. You can adjust the sound by channels and switch it to dual mono. The Hala series was developed by the legendary designer John Carroll. At low volumes, it should operate even in Class A, and when you increase the volume, it automatically switches to Class AB. Inside, there are 16 bipolar transistors rated at 15A 60 MHz. All of this is powered by a huge toroidal transformer with a power of 1.2 kilovolts. The transistor capacity is 88,000 UF. And the main thing that John Carroll worked on, and in my opinion he managed to solve this problem, is the absence of capacitors and inductors in the signal path. It has an extremely pure, simple, and at the same time natural sound. That is why Parasounds are used at Lucasfilm, Sony Pictures, Warner Brothers, Pixar, 20th Century Fox, Universal, and so on. Essentially, this company started with professional equipment and then smoothly transitioned into the consumer segment. And now it feels quite good there. Until recently, the company Parasound was independent. As far as I know, it was finally bought a couple of years ago. But that's not surprising because now there is practically a merger happening. All the biggest cool companies at that time, market mastodons even, Bowers if we take them, no longer belong to themselves. Well, let's see what's behind them and start unboxing. Compare both and then listen. 27.5 kilograms. The Americans think about people. They provided handles, but Onkyo didn't, even though it's only 2.5 kilos lighter. Right away, I find a downside off the top of my head, which, by the way, I have encountered before and I didn't really like this aspect. There is adjustment, right? Channel by channel amplification. But there's no scale, friends. It's impossible to set it up accurately without it just by guessing. The Onkyo has a very convenient and precise scale, which allows you to adjust everything more or less properly. In other aspects, of course, the Parasound is cooler. The switches are of the highest quality. Listen to how they click. We switched to stereo or mono. I added a second one, and of course the sound becomes even more expansive, even more powerful, even more accurate. The control of the speakers improves, so don't be afraid of additional power. You need to harness it and know how to work with it, because when you have a reserve, you can listen at lower volumes with much higher sound quality. A trigger that can be very conveniently adjusted connected, again with the second power amplifier with the preamp, and then you won't have to press each one every time. You just turn on the preamp and the other connected components turn on after it. By the way, the knobs look like metal. Yes, they are most likely metal. And these knobs are really cool. You just want to grab and pull them like this. Heavy. Weight is a sign of reliability, as Boris the Blade used to say. Let's see what's at the back of the Onkyo. But first, let's turn off our step-down transformer. By the way, it's heavy too, darn it. The main thing I don't like is that there are no balanced inputs. There are only RCA, so-called. But in the front, as you already know, there is an adjustment, which is definitely pleasing. These terminals are of good quality. The only thing is, can you actually fit spade connectors here? Yes, you can. You can, but bananas are better. And that coveted inscription made in Japan, which drove tech enthusiasts crazy in the 90s. 40 years have not passed in vain, and we can already see marks on the wood. That, I believe, cannot be removed. Do you think it has started to play worse because of this or not? I think it has, because the components definitely should degrade. And if we went back in time and took this device with us and compared it with the exact same one but new, I think the sound would be different. Not heavy, by the way. I thought it would be heftier. The metal on the front is quite thick. The cover is not very sturdy, and indeed, we have seen much thicker ones. When discussing the subject of vintage items, there are many fascinating aspects to consider, including their history, unique charm, and the stories they tell. So what do you think, friends? Well, alright. There is no active cooling. 2 large heat sinks. Capacitor banks of 10,000. Each one is 80. And here, as we know, I think it's 88,000 in the Parasound. 2 high-quality C-shaped transformers. In general, the Japanese prefer C-shaped transformers. For some reason, toroidal transformers are rarely found in their equipment. Even if we take some anniversary models from Denon, from the same Luxman. But as we know, it's Akuphase. Akuphase translates to Aku and phase. Accurate, precise phase. Face and phase. So face means face, ideally, right? And a neat phase should be read as Akuphase. Please correct me in the comments. What do you think about this? Look at these fuses. Very good quality, in my opinion. The PCB is sturdy, thick, and green. Just the way we like it, friends. And here they are, the transistors. There are, as far as I can see. You can even count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per channel. It will be even more interesting to see what we have in the Parasound. Fundamentally well made, And inside, of course, it is indeed more than serious, very mature. Just compare the American approach with the beautiful radial transformer, which is also packed in such a metal screen with 4 Coca-Cola cans in the form of these capacitors. 22,000 each, 22 multiplied by 4, that makes 88, right? Yes, the guys who wrote the manual were right. And about the transistors, friends, Sanken, how many of them are there per channel? Can you count them? Please write in the comments. Now it is clear why there are such large heat sinks on the sides, which are used for cooling. Naturally, there are no fans here at all. The cables are laid out very well and with high quality. On the left we have Japanese assembly, friends, and here this device was assembled, as far as I remember, in Taiwan, because Parasound is never assembled in America. That's their credo. Since they believe that the product should be as cheap and high quality as possible, the assembly is done by Asians. Although Taiwan is an exception, it is something between China and Japan in terms of production culture. On the other hand, Taiwan is known for having some of the most technologically advanced microchip manufacturing plants. So think and decide for yourself who makes the higher quality assembly, because the technologies in Taiwan are among the most advanced. And looking at this device now, it's almost vintage because, I repeat, not only was it in production for quite a long time, over 10 years at a guess, but it has now been replaced by the A21, which looks much better. It is even more powerful, it is even heavier, it is even more advanced. The new stuff you are talking about is, so to speak, complete garbage. This old-timer completely outclasses the Japanese without a chance. And in terms of sound, I will give you a spoiler, it also sounds better. Although a Japanese product cost about 1,540 years ago, Parasound, however, was slightly more expensive. Again, if we draw a parallel with inflation, their cost would probably be more or less at the same level. If anyone has conducted a mini research on this topic, again, write in the comments. Friends, write. We will be grateful to you. Please note that the wires here in the Parasound are thicker. You look at all this and realize that they really know how to make power in America. I would like to emphasize that the A21 was not the final model in the HAL lineup at that time. The coolest one was the GC1, just like the current GC1 Plus. Now there's also an intermediate model, the GC5. As far as I remember, it didn't exist before. And as promised, friends, leave a comment, give a like, and watch until the end. And for a couple of weeks, we are giving away Greenpeace. Here is a stylish retro record from Melodia. You see, it says digital. Friends, in those years, yes, digital technologies already existed. Look at this. How delightful. Here you have a young Sting, Brian Ferry, and my goodness, who isn't here? A real treasure trove of vintage and even Sade. I'll part with it straight from the heart. What wouldn't I do for my beloved subscribers? We gather and listen, deciding who plays better after all. The long-awaited comparison of vintage Onkyo and teak, new models, and a cassette player. The fragment will be minimal because YouTube bans for copyright. But I repeat, you guys are cool, so even 5 seconds will be enough for you to determine who sounds better, Onkyo or Parasound.
I'm sure you all heard it. I'm sure you all heard it.
The clear winner was Parasound. The bass, mid-range, highs, and dynamics were better with the American. Nevertheless, I want to give credit to the Japanese because it delivered, I would even say, a soul-stirring sound that is truly vintage. I'm sure that such devices are great for listening to some vocals, jazz, blues, and similar genres. I want to give a special thanks to the guys from the Audio Sect who provided me with this vintage Onkyo device. They are true specialists in vintage equipment. Reach out to them and they will find you excellent gear. Neighbor, hello? I still hold my opinion. If you have the money for a new high-end device, of course go for it and consider serious brands like Bryston and Parasound. The same classe, which now belongs to the American conglomerate Sound United, and the last engineer, as far as I remember, is Romanian. This is how Canadians and Americans used to do it, and now it's the Romanians. These are the times we live in, friends. Stay tuned. Leave your comments. Bye-bye. Did you completely forget I make home theaters? High-end, top-tier, and entry-level. Again, we tailor everything to fit your budget and wallet. I also sell new components, so feel free to contact me and we'll do everything in the best possible way. We will build and design any type of home theater for you. We can also recommend a stereo system, either entry-level or high-end. I've been in the market for a very long time, more than 10 years, probably 12 by now. Honestly, I've lost count, so I'm always happy. Message me on Telegram. And by the way, we have launched a separate Telegram channel, friends, where you will find super cool news. Be sure to visit, subscribe, the link is in the description, and you will be up to date with all the events related to hi-fi. And you'll be in the front row for various exciting, cool videos, big and small. All the best.